Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling one of the most dangerously misunderstood elements of any solar installation. We're talking about earth grounding. And no, we're not just talking about hammering a metal rod into the dirt and calling it a day. We're looking at the critical, invisible difference between a system that safely clears an electrical fault and a system that quietly hides a massive, ticking fire hazard. If you've ever wondered what's really keeping your solar setup from turning a short circuit into a total catastrophe, you are definitely in the right place.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the grounding illusion, the physics of faults, the three-point Megger test, real-world environmental variables, and finally, true protection versus compliance.
All right, starting off with Section 1, the grounding illusion.
A lot of folks look at a thick copper wire running down to a metal rod in the dirt and think, awesome, the system is grounded, we're completely safe. But a ground isn't just some static piece of metal. It's an active, dynamic safety highway. When something goes wrong, that highway is the exact path dangerous fault currents have to take. On one side, you've got a low-resistance ground. Think of this like a multi-lane expressway. It allows a massive spike in fault current to flow instantly. And that high current is exactly what you want, because it forces your breakers or fuses to trip and shuts down the danger immediately. But on the other side, a high-resistance ground is essentially a traffic jam. It limits the current just enough so the breaker never trips. That electrical energy has nowhere to go, turns into heat, and boom, you've got a massive persistent fire risk.
Moving right along to Section 2, the physics of faults.
So the crucial point here is that resistance isn't just an abstract number. It's the invisible gatekeeper of your system's safety. And that science is beautifully explained by Ohm's law. Fault current, which we represent with I, equals the system voltage, V, divided by the earth resistance, R. Think about your own solar installation for a second. Your system voltage is fixed, right? It's a constant. Therefore, the absolute only variable determining how much fault current can flow is your earth resistance. To trigger those safety breakers, that R value simply has to be low.
Which brings us to a really critical question. In the electrical and solar industry, you'll constantly hear that your ground resistance needs to be 25 ohms or less. It's like this magical compliance target everyone aims for. But if you hit exactly 25 ohms, are you actually safe? Does hitting a basic compliance number guarantee that your equipment won't become a lethal hazard during a fault?
To answer that, let's look at the terrifying reality of something called voltage rise. Imagine a 48-volt DC fault hitting a totally compliant 25-ohm ground. Because that resistance is relatively high, the voltage essentially backs up and elevates your entire grounding system. Suddenly, the metal frames of your solar panels are carrying that voltage, creating a lethal touch voltage shock hazard. If you touch the frame, you complete the circuit. Yikes. But if that exact same 48-volt fault hits a highly efficient 5-ohm ground, the voltage rise is incredibly low. The fault clears quickly, and the touch risk is minimized. So yeah, 25 ohms might be legally compliant in some areas, but lower is always, always better.
Let's move to Section 3, the three-point Megger test.
Now what's really interesting here is that we're shifting from the theory of faults to the actual, hands-on practice of measuring your safety highway. You can't just guess your resistance. You need specific equipment, specifically an earth tester known as a Megger. The physical steps are super precise. Step 1, you connect your first probe directly to the ground rod. Step 2, you drive a current probe deep into the soil several meters away. Step 3, you place a potential probe perfectly between the two. The tester then injects a known electrical current into the earth, measures the resulting voltage drop right in the middle, and calculates the exact resistance for you. But man, it is incredibly easy to get this wrong. The absolute most dangerous mistake is improper probe spacing, which creates overlapping resistance zones. If you put the probes too close together, the areas of soil they're measuring literally overlap, and that gives you a dangerously false low reading. Your tester might be telling you your ground is perfect, while in reality, it's a massive hazard. You also have to watch out for buried metal, things like rebar or water pipes, which can hijack the current and give you a fake reading. And it goes without saying, never blindly drive metal stakes into the ground without checking for underground utilities first.
Which brings us to Section 4, real-world environmental variables.
Let's say you test your system on a gorgeous spring day and get an amazing 5-ohm reading. You're safe, right? Well, not exactly. Those numbers are completely at the mercy of the environment. Dry soil dramatically increases resistance, meaning a perfectly compliant rod in the spring can turn into a catastrophic fire hazard during a summer drought.
Similarly, when winter hits and the ground freezes solid, the soil's conductivity plummets, causing your resistance to spike. Even the composition itself, like loose sand versus dense clay, changes the performance entirely.
So what happens when nature works against you? Well, this is where professional adjustments come into play. If a single, standard ground rod just isn't cutting it in dry sand or freezing conditions, professionals don't just shrug and walk away. They adapt. They'll drive multiple ground rods, space them apart, and wire them together. Or they'll use specialized equipment to drive rods much deeper into the earth to hit the permanent water table. Sometimes, they'll even backfill the hole with highly conductive ground enhancement materials to artificially lower the soil's resistivity right around the rod.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, True Protection versus Compliance.
Okay, before we finish up, I need to aggressively highlight a crucial safety warning. Never, ever perform a Megger earth resistance test on an energized system. Period. You must always isolate your grounding electrode from the rest of your solar system before testing. If you leave the system connected while injecting current, you could completely destroy your expensive testing equipment, or much worse, expose yourself to a severe, potentially lethal shock. Safety first, guys. Always isolate the ground.
And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between just checking a box for a local inspector and actually ensuring your solar array is safe holistically. When done correctly, a proper earth ground is an active defense mechanism. True protection means you're building a low-impedance path for everything nature and mechanics can possibly throw at you. It's not just about a wire shorting out. A solid, low-resistance ground is the exact same path that lightning surges use to harmlessly enter the earth instead of completely frying your expensive solar inverters. It's the path that clears inverter faults and protects the surge devices guarding your entire home. It's a holistic shield. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we end today's explainer. Take a hard look at your own setup, or the setup you're planning to build, and ask yourself, is your system just built for compliance to hit some magical 25-ohm number on a good day? Or is it genuinely built for protection, designed to handle the dry seasons, clear the absolute highest fault currents, and keep your home entirely safe? Understanding that difference is the very first step to true solar safety. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.